Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for tuning into my first video. I decided I'm going to make an intro Java course because I can't really leave my house right now with the the COVID-19 pandemic going on and everything. So I figured I would just do something, in the meantime while I'm kind of stuck here and maybe help some people learn some code. So the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna do Java. That's the language we're going to be using. It's what we call an object-oriented programming language, and we'll get into what that all means later on. But basically, we create classes, these things called classes, and from those classes, we create an instance of a class, and we call them objects. So, like, if I have a person class with arms, legs, eyes, a speak method, I can create different instances of a person from that same class. So I can have like a Mike, a Joe, Mary, whatever, that's a general, idea of it. But the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to do something. This is probably like the first thing any teacher or professor will ever show you in any programming language, not just Java, and that's the Hello World. So the Hello World program. So the first thing you're going to have to do, you're going to have to go and download what's called Eclipse Ide. And you can just go to their website. It's eclipse.com or .org, I forget. Download it. If you're using Windows, download one for Windows, obviously. If you're using Mac, whatever. I am using Linux. I don't use Windows anymore for anything other than gaming because, yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be, the installation is a little different on mine than it would be on yours. So I may do like a preface video at some point of this just to give instructions on how to do it in Windows and Linux. I don't have any Mac products, so can't really help with that. But it's really all the same. Linux just has maybe one extra step. So if you just, download that, set it all up, and make sure it's the one for Java. They have a couple different ones. Just make sure it's the Java one. So when you have this, it's going to look like this. This here on the left side, this is where your projects are all going to go. So once you have multiple projects, they'll just list themselves here. But for right now, we don't have any. So all we have is an option to create projects or import projects. So you can start by either clicking Create a Java Project, or you can go to File, New, Java Project. And we have to give it a name. It's just the simple Hello World program, so we'll just call it, just call it Hello World. You can hit next. It's gonna give you this thing like info.java. You don't have to do that. Just hit finish. And here you go. Here's your project. So here you have your source folder. And if you look on the icon here, it's got a little box in there. And what that box is saying is, what that box represents is a package. And when you create a class, the class generates a package. It's either a default with no name or just a name that you give it. But this doesn't have a package in it right now because we don't have a class. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a class. But since this is a really, really simple program, this is just literally a thing that prints Hello World, we only need the main class, which generally you would use for testing. So what you would have is you'd have multiple classes in a program. You'd have your, classes that you make, and, they have their built-in stuff, and, and then you have your one separate class, usually called main, for testing, or just running the program in general. So you use that class to create instances, like we said before, of objects to test them out in this main method, main class, which has a main method in it. So I don't want to get anybody confused here, so let's just start by doing this. This is the first thing you do with one class, if you're making a program with one class. So you go to New, Class, and we're going to just call it main, because this, it's the only thing there. Package, if you don't give it a package name, it'll just call it default, or just leave it blank and forget something. I'm just going to call it hello world. It's just convention to keep it all lowercase like that. And there we go. But then the first thing we're going to do to have, so all right, inside your main class, you have the main method, which is the first thing, when you compile and run your program, the first thing it does is run the main method. It goes through everything in the main method, and from within that main method, the method will make calls to other classes and their methods and stuff, but your program uses the main method. And when we make the main method, this is what we do. And just to give a heads up, do not be, what I'm about to type out is something you don't need to worry about. Just look at it right now. You can copy paste it. You're going to see it in every program. It's the main method. Later on, like much later on, we'll talk about what it all means. But for right now, don't worry about the syntax of what I'm about to type out. It's just something you need to do. Okay. This, excuse me, is a main method. That's it. That's what it looks like. That's what every main method looks like. That's it. So to do the most simple thing that your professor or whoever you're working with or whatever would ever show you is the hello world. So to do that, you would type this. And always end a statement with a semicolon. Anytime you're finishing a statement of any sort, end it with a semicolon. So this is just your standard output for Java. And no, you don't have to type it all out like this every time. There's a shortcut. I'll show you in a second. So in here, you would just type, a double quote. It'll generate 2 of them by default. Just type hello world. Control S to save. Yeah. And just hit run. This is the run button up here. Oops. Console's down here. Hello world. There it is. And now the shortcut to print that, instead of typing system.out.print. So the shortcut is just do SYSO. Hold down the control key, and on Mac, I guess it's command or whatever. And then hit space. So syso, control space. And it'll generate that for you. Now keep in mind, so what I'm going to do here, so watch this. I'm going to just do this, just so I can show you a little thing. This thing here, print line, automatically prints a new line after printing that. So if I type this, if I just do system.out.println and then type system.out.println hello world, watch what happens down here. Watch where it goes. So I'm going to save, run, see it bumps it down a line. So that print line method does that. That's what that is. It's giving it a new line. You can take out this ln. Oh, I guess you can't. Oh, you can't print with a blank string, right? So I could just add this here. Yeah. And now this will be back up here on this line. But this system.out.print is not actually printing a line or printing anything really. It's just creating an empty string, which is completely useless. And yeah, don't do it. I'm just doing this to show you what it is. But yeah, if you run it again, we'll move it back up. Anyway, that's the first video. I think I'm getting a little off topic here, and I hope I didn't confuse anybody. Leave questions in the comments or whatever. I'll answer them. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully these videos get better quality over time. This is literally my first video, so just bear with me, and thanks for your patience. I'll see you in the next video.